Welcome to the channel. My name is Jodie Knight. You can find my live portfolio over on eToro. The link is in the description below for that. But in this video here, we're going to talk about PayPal's price action. We're going to look at the daily chart, the weekly chart. We're also going to take a look at the open options interest. As well as that, we'll talk about my price targets, where I'm going to add, where I'm going to trim, all that good stuff, fair value and all that. On top of that, though, we're going to have a quick look at the general market, what's happening. We're going to look at the economic data from yesterday and what's coming today. And then also we'll take a look at some PayPal news if I can find any. If not, we'll find something else interesting to talk about briefly. Hopping on to the daily chart for PayPal, I'm loving this chart so far. I was expecting a little bit more of a pullback, but it's been really resilient. We've now got this little tweezer bottom here, so we could get a little bit more upside. I was hoping we would get this gap fill down to this green line here at $73.88. That would have been really nice. I would have bought some more at that level. I'm still hopeful that it's going to get a pullback. Just so I can load a bit more into my coffers, as it were. But this measured move, on the yellow, that's completed. So that was quite a long trending pattern. I've mentioned it a few times. The longer a pattern is respected, the more aggressive the breakout will be. So that's nice to see. Price-wise, I'm still looking at about $124 for my fair value on this one. So we're still way under that. Plenty more upside to come on this one. I don't necessarily think it's going to hit that target this year, but it's definitely going to be hitting it next year. RSI, though, a little bit more room to run if it does want to pop, but I think I'd still prefer a cool off here. We've had quite a large move to the upside since we had this double bottom. We just put, for some reason, that didn't go on right on the bottom. So we had about 40% over that time frame. So pretty good move for PayPal, considering it's hardly done anything for several years. The Max DX Plus, we also got these overbought signals on here that do kind of give me that belief that we should have a pullback, but it might not happen. The market's been pretty weak for most of this week, so the fact that price has held there has been pretty good. So that makes me feel pretty confident that we are going to do well long term on this position, even if we do get a little bit of a pullback. Flow here, kind of just not doing anything. It's just kind of pootling along, as it were. We do have earnings coming up on the 29th, same day as SoFi, so that's going to be a busy day for me. But for the most part, I think earnings are going to be pretty good. They've launched so much good stuff. I don't know if a lot of the new products are going to be hitting the bottom line yet. A lot of them were launched a few weeks ago, so they're not going to be impacting the bottom line too much, but I'm sure they'll be talking a bit about them on the conference call, so that's going to be really exciting to listen to, and we'll also get a glimpse of what else they've got in the works as well and see how the ads business is doing, although I'm not expecting much from that till 2025. Moving on to the weekly, we can see here where we had the gap fill line there at 73.87. It does line up very nicely with that peak volume shelf, so that if we do pull back, that's going to offer us really good support there. Below that, we've then got this historical resistance here, which is now support at 69.77. Probably that's going to get rounded up to about $70. People love the whole numbers. Very good psychological level. And then under that, we've got the bull market band, wherever that may happen to hover when we come down to it. I mean, we might not get a pullback, but those are the levels I'd kind of want to be adding to my position on. In the kind of short term, the next move up there, we should make quite a good move up to the kind of high 80s range, up to this level. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to go up in a straight line. We've already gone up in a pretty nice straight line, so I would expect some kind of cooling off before we launch, but maybe we don't get a pullback. Maybe we just head sideways for a little bit, or maybe the macro somehow has a miraculously beautiful day and we just pop off. But RSI is a little bit hot on the weekly, so I would expect more of a cool down. That, like I've mentioned, it doesn't mean we're going to get it, but if we do get a pullback, those are going to be excellent levels to add back to. The golden cross here is looking really nice too, starting to diverge, and institutions are over 50% and retail's washed out, so that's looking perfect on that indicator. Flow here looks good. I'm guessing it's probably going to stall out a little bit, the same as on the daily chart, so worth keeping an eye on that one. Okay, looking at the open options interest for PayPal here. So for Friday, which is only like a day away, so I don't expect too much. This expected move is very tiny, which is kind of what we're seeing on the chart. These tweezer bottoms, price doesn't seem like it wants to break down, but from a technical perspective, it does look like it's due a little bit of a pullback, so kind of price action is just fighting that a little bit. Oh, Don't know why that jumped around them. Crazy. But resistance to the upside is going to be $80, so it's kind of lining up with that top there, and then 83. Um, I don't know if we're going to get enough excitement in 2 days to get us up to those levels, especially with what the macro is doing lately. But stranger things have happened. This $77 support is holding very nicely for the time being. A week out, though, we can see a lot of other people are having the same thoughts as I am, kind of expecting price to pull down a little bit. Like we've talked about, its price is a little bit extended. It needs a bit of a cool off, especially if it's going to make a good move higher in the future. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to get down to these $72 areas, but they're really good kind of support if they do. And then 80 still holding as resistance for the top side. So the expected move next week's a little bit larger. Let's just take a look at what people are expecting for earnings. So the week before earnings, not too much exciting, not too much different from what we're currently looking at for this week, to be honest. And then for the actual earnings week, we look like we're getting a lot more favor to the upside. That we do have this really large strike down here. I don't see that happening. That seems crazy to me, but stranger things have happened. If we did get back down there, I'd be a very happy buyer. I'd like to load the boat at that price again. But if price looked like it was going to head down that way, I might take off some profit off the table just so I can reload at a better price. But I doubt that's going to happen. That'd be crazy. Maybe 70 would be as low as I would think we'd go, but certainly I would like to see this gap fill. I don't like open gaps that make me nervous. They tend to fill, and PayPal does have a nice history of filling its gaps, so I'd be inclined to say that's going to probably hit at some point. But let's take a look at January 2025. I can find it. The print is so damn small. So we have a much larger expected move here. $100 people are kind of picking out. I would expect to see PayPal over $100 early next year. I don't know if there's going to be enough time for them to do it this year. It's only a few months away, and the way macro is, I think there's a big old wall of worry for the market to climb this week. So we'll see if it happens. I mean, first off, JP was a little bit more hawkish in his comments. Then we've had the kind of border dock strike stuff, and then we've had the Middle East kicking off. So all of that is going to make a lot of investors nervous. So don't be expecting big things from the market this week unless suddenly everything gets tidied up with a nice tidy bow. But for the most part, the market's actually holding up quite well. I'm quite shocked. Let's take a quick look at January 2026. Again, the expected move is very large. I probably would expect PayPal to hit my 124 kind of fair value next year. I do expect I'm going to be lifting that fair value quite aggressively as PayPal continues to execute, especially when the ads business comes online. I'm very excited to see the numbers for that. I'm still catching up with a bit of my news feed for a lot of the companies I'm following, so I've got only a couple of quick little bits here. Mainly, I'm still seeing Alex Chris being really active on social media, really trying to engage with the investor base and customers alike and resolve issues and improve the software where he can. So someone asked, any plans on allowing customers to pay with crypto in stores and online in the future? Simple answer, yes. Love that. Amazing news. Also, we've got Jim Cramer's now a fan of PayPal, so that's a bit bearish. Anyone that's been in the market for a long time knows that it's best to be inverse Cramer, but in this case, I would be inclined to agree with him, although probably some people really actually seriously take profits when he gets on board, so watch out for that. Other than that, though, we've got this Amazon ads revenue from 2015 to 2023. Now, I just want to show this, that there is so much money that PayPal's now going to have the chance to get a big slice of that cake. So can't wait to see what they do. I'm very excited to see these numbers, but again, they're not coming till 2025, I believe. Other than that, though, PayPal's newest SVP, Yolanda Piazza, I think that's how you say it. I believe she's coming in from Google to implement the Gen AI kind of, the tools that everyone wants to see that are currently not not seeing a lot of gains with. But I did want to point out though on this one though, ignoring all the AI buzzwords and whatnot in this, 90% of those running Gen AI in production report revenue gains of 6% or more. Very excited about that, so I can't wait to see that. Okay, having a quick scan through the economic data for yesterday. We got small mortgage data. Nothing too exciting there. Not expecting that to recover straight away, really. It's going to be a bit of a lag. People, just because rates come down a little bit, doesn't mean people jump straight on the wagon. They'll wait for them to come down more. So we'll keep an eye on that. ADP employment change, though. Really like this one. Talked about it in yesterday's video as well. The business, private businesses added 143k workers, which was really nice. And if we look down at the numbers here, we saw a lot of them came from the services sector, which I really like. And we did lose some from the IT kind of sector. That's not surprising. That's probably the easiest industry to automate jobs away. So not too alarming there. We did see some gains in manufacturing as well. Going back though, we had more speeches, boring, more oil production stuff. I don't really use that. I just look at the chart really. More speeches. Today though, we've had some challenger job cuts this morning. Those came in quite good. So US employers announced less job cuts than anticipated, which was nice to see. Well, they're still quite high. Initial jobless claims though, they came in a little bit higher. Not alarmingly so, I don't think. But the market's probably not going to be too thrilled about that. A bit of a bounce back up. What else was there? Continuing jobless claims as well. They came in a little bit lower, which was nice. Jobless claims 4-week average came pretty much in line with expectations. So kind of neutral to bearish on the jobs data there. The composite PMI final, though, that came in slightly lower than forecast. And the normal services PMI final came in a little bit lower. So not great, but not terrible. This one's not loading yet, but we're still a couple of minutes away from getting that data. But if you enjoyed this content, feel free to give this video a like, share it with your buddies, and subscribe to my channel.